So this is a car stereo from a 2003 Honda Jazz UK spec. It doesn't come with the auxiliary connectors as standard, as you would normally find down here next to the cigarette lighter. But what we're going to attempt to do in this video is attach a Bluetooth device to it so that we can connect our phone to it and run it as a wireless speaker. I'm trying to do this as cheap as possible, so if you know, a few pounds, and what I'm going to try and fit is this little device here, which is a Bluetooth module, and it's quite simple really. It has a USB power in, and it has a 3.5mm audio jack for the sound coming out, and obviously when you're in the car, the hope is that you can just take your phone and connect to it, and then using the auxiliary function, which currently isn't activated on the stereo, be able to select that and then be able to have the phone playing music out of the speakers. So I've seen a few people do this on some of the Honda forums, so I thought I'd give it a go myself. So what we got here is a cheap audio lead with the 3.5mm jacks, which I'm just probably going to chop off, and a fabricated connector for plugging into the back of the stereo. And in order to power the device, I've got one of these cheap USB cigarette lighter power adapters, which will give us the 5 volts that we need to drive the Bluetooth module. So yeah, next step is to get the stereo out, and we'll see what we've got in the back. So the first step for getting the stereo out is to remove a screw that's holding this cover below the heater controls, and to take that off, and then that will give us access to some screws which underneath, 2 of them, one on either side, which is holding the stereo in place. So yeah, we're going to pop this cover off and see if we can get access to those screws, and then hopefully the whole unit should then kind of clip out. Okay, so we removed the bottom screw and unclipped the cover for the heater controls, and then there are 2 screws that are going up into the stereo, holding it in place. It's quite hard to see, but then basically then the stereo itself is just kind of clipped in, so you just kind of need to pull it out straight from the dash, and then you will get access to the stereo. So so what we're going to be doing, I'm going to take the stereo out so we can have a look at it, but effectively we're going to try and feed the power off the main connector for the 12 volts that will go into the USB power adapter, and the audio jack will be feeding into an auxiliary port, which is a little green thing at the back. So moving the gear shifter out the way allows the stereo to pretty much drop out. The problem is that I'm not disconnecting any of the heater controls, as they look like they're a bit tricky, but at least now we can get access to the auxiliary connector, which is this one here that focuses. So looking at the diagrams on the forums, the first 2 pins needed to be shorted out basically in order to enable the auxiliary, and then the remaining pins, I think 3, 4 and 5 are the left, right and ground, and I think the 6th pin is just another ground pin. So what we're going to do is I'm probably going to use something like a DuPont connector to see if I can then fabricate an audio lead in order to plug it into this. Meanwhile, I'm going to have a look at the main wiring loom to try and work out which of these to tap into in order to get the 12 volts to drive the USB. So here's the board made up. So I took the USB power adapter out of its case, and I soldered positive and a negative to the PCB, leaving the fuse intact. And next to it, it has the USB lead going into the Bluetooth module. Now for the Bluetooth module, the audio lead coming out, I've fabricated a connector using a DuPont 6-pin. So you can see here that the first two with the black wire is looped between pin 1 and 2, and that tells the stereo that there's something attached to the auxiliary, so that I believe activates the auxiliary button. And then the other three, the green is the right channel, the blue is the ground, and the red is the left. So hopefully when that plugs into the back of the stereo, it should hopefully start working. So yeah, I'm going to get this fitted now. I'm going to have to tap the stereo connector to attach the power wires. I've already tested this module using a power supply and it powers up fine. I've mounted it on a little credit card, firstly just to avoid any shorts from the bottom of the circuit boards, and I think I'll probably mount it onto the top of the radio, as there's enough room inside for it to sit on top. And again, I've got some sort of double-sided tape there to stick that down, so hopefully that will keep it in place. So yeah, let's get it fitted and see if it works. So I've now connected the USB power adapter to the main stereo connectors. As you can see, what I've done is I've tapped the negative and the positive onto two wires. Now the negative is a common one. I don't know what pin number it is, but the cable there is black, and the positive is going to this yellow and red wire. Now this one is only active when the ignition's on. So the intention is that obviously when the ignition is off, it's not switched on at all. There is another wire here, this white and red one, which has a permanent 12 volt if you wanted to leave it on, but I don't see any reason to. So as you can see, I've just cut the sides of the cables and soldered on the connectors onto that. And now when I switch the ignition on the car, which I'll do now, you'll see the lights go on. So there's the blue LED for the USB, and you can see that the Bluetooth is now flashing, meaning that it's trying to pair with another device. So far so good. So yeah, I'm going to test it now with the audio plugged in using the connector here, which has the 6-pin DuPont, which actually fits quite nicely into the stereo. And now we'll see if we actually get any sound out of this. So I plugged it all in now, and by pressing the auxiliary button, it switches to that, and you connect your phone to the Bluetooth module, and hey presto, it's working. I can't play any sound at the moment because if I try that on my phone, then it will stop the video, so you have to take my word for it. But yeah, it's definitely working, so job's a good one. So yeah, as you can see, it's plugged into the back, the audio lead for the auxiliary, and I've just put some tape around the wires that I tapped, gives power. But yeah, I'm going to stick this down now onto the top of the stereo, put it all back in, and hopefully at the end give you a demo. So job's a good one. So it's all back together again now in the car. Got the ignition on. So as you can see, I'll give a quick demo. I've connected a tablet here and just watching a bit of Robert Murray Smith and the guys at FWG. So we can press the auxiliary button, and hopefully now, if I start playing the video and I turn the volume up, we should hear this coming out of the speakers in the car. Let's turn the volume up a bit. So yeah, it's working good. And yeah, great to see the guys at FWG. getting their devices out and look forward to seeing that as well. So good stuff. Thanks for watching.